up, ladies and centers? Welcome to another Tuesday night edition. You heard it first, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson, and we're at it again in Vegas, talking about Vegas sports. I will be transparent with you guys tonight. It could be a short show. I'm going to be as professional as possible. I'm going to make sure my teammates get their commercials in because they deserve it, their drops. You guys got to hear it, tune into their shows. They know what they're doing over there. Shout out to Gina G, man. She's a warrior out there. Taryn Rodriguez kills it. The man, the myth, the legend, Larry B happens to be in the chat today. What? This guy get unsnapped from Thanos? What happened to this man? This guy doesn't read emails for three months from me. And then he just shows up out of the blue. Love you, man. Thanks for having you on. Taryn, what's up, brother? As always, thank you for the well wishes, dude. We appreciate you guys. This is part of the IE family. We're always in it with each other. You gotta love it. Larry's saying Raiders. Yeah, there's no other way to say it now. Las Vegas is killing it. One of the fastest growing sports markets in America. Yeah. One of the fastest growing sports markets in America. And I'm going to say it right here, right now. It won't surprise me if it eclipses most other sports markets within the next 10 years. Because it's killing it. Lady Aces tonight, we're going to touch base on them. For some reason, they have just had a bit of a downfall. They're still second in the league overall, and they're first in the West by about a game and a half. But they've had a bit of a fall. We're going to talk a little bit about the Golden Knights. Their development camp's going on. Development camp in the NHL is awesome. That's where you get a chance to see all the young guns skate. Just see who might make the active roster, who might go to their affiliates. You never know. Awesome. We're going to talk a little about UNLV. They had a few things go down. New golf coach. That's pretty epic. Jean-Paul Hebert. And, we're definitely going to talk about the Raiders because obviously there's always a little bit of drama in the air when it comes to them. Right? There's got to be drama. It's the Raiders. The Raiders. And nobody circles the wagons like the... shout out to the Bills Nation there. Also, I miss Chris Berman. When we get back, though, we're going to talk a little bit about the LV Aces. We're going to get into our show. Yeah, a little bit interlude. We got to let the music play out. It's rocking out. That's what we do here in the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. We're at it again, man. Another Tuesday night edition. Folks, keep an eye on the Twitter. I'm always tweeting. It's about anything, all right? First off, I want to ask how your guys' day is going, huh? How's everybody in the chat? Taryn and Larry, what's going on today, man? What you guys have for dinner? Fill me in. Let's talk. Let's have fun. Taryn says the Las Vegas Ramblers play this week. In the last week of the NVA's regular season, a couple of my friends play on the Ramblers. That's dope. That's super dope. You get tickets? Your friends giving you tickets? I hope so. You're killing the volleyball market, man. It's awesome. Larry said he had spaghetti. Ooh. You got a little meat sauce, or is it just like homemade? Was it Prego, Ragu? We're not here to, market them or anything like that, but did you go the easy way or did you get into it, man? Did you slather up some baguette bread and garlic butter and some Parmesan cheese or mozzarella cheese? How'd you go about that, man? That sounds great. I'm only talking about food so much, guys, because I just started the carnivore diet. It's interesting. I had to do some lifestyle changes. My mom's been having some health issues recently, and it's a gluten injury or a little bit of a gluten intolerance situation going on. It's actually caused some inflammation in some of her organs. So we say, hey, let's give this a try. The doctor suggested it. I'm all about it because I love meat. You can't hate on meat. I love meat. It's just the way you cook it, right? A lot of red beef, fatty meats, by the way, chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts, eggs, bacon. You can never say no to bacon. As a matter of fact, tonight I put together what they call butter bacon or bacon butter, whatever you want to call it. Crisped up some bacon and blended it in some Irish cream butter. It was fire. I even added a garlic clove. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love a little bit of extra flavor. And then I made another butter, which was a couple cloves of garlic, almost a whole shallot, and some rosemary and thyme with some parsley, and I blended all that together. And I'm just going to cut pieces of that and throw it on my meat, because you know what? If mom's going to make a dietary change, I'm going to do it too. Why not? Let's see where it goes. Joe Rogan said a lot of good things about the carnivore diet. Jordan Peterson said amazing things. We might as well get after it. Let's do it. Speaking of carnivores, just kidding. That was a really bad interlude. The Las Vegas Aces are having a bit of a tumble, man, recently. I don't get it. I don't understand it. As a matter of fact, when you look at the standings, they're still second in the league. They're I don't know. They're in first. They're in first by a pretty big margin in the Western Conference, so I don't think that's a huge difference. I don't think that's a huge deal. Where they're struggling, though, I mean, look at the statistics. When you guys get a chance, take a look at their statistics on the Las Vegas Aces page, the WNBA page for that matter. They've had a huge dip in field goal percentage, okay, because it was at 50% for most of the season. Now it's down to 45.2. Three-point percentage is about the same. Free throw percentage has dropped a little bit. It was around 85. Now it's about 80. Turnovers per game has gone up a little bit. It was around like 10 turnovers a game, 12.2. It makes a difference. That's more scoring opportunities. Where I see that the Aces are really struggling is they have allowed teams to start offensive rebounding or out rebounding them on the offensive end, right? The defensive rebounds, they're still got a slight edge, but that still isn't where you kind of want it to be. Rebounds per game, they're one less than their opponent. So that's never good. That means the opponent's getting an extra possession. You never want that when it's getting tight. 89 points per game scored. It's short of their 91 that they've had majority of the season. And their opponent's points per game has gone up about 3 points for that matter, because it was hovering around 80 to 81 most of the year. So that's kind of I'd say that's a little bit of a wrap-up. When you look at the statistics, it's kind of obvious. If you can't keep points off the board, you're going to have troubles. If you give up the ball and the turnover margin, it makes it tough. So the Las Vegas Aces had a little bit of a slump, but they're still young. Still got a lot going on with the team. They recently extended Derek Hamby to a contract extension, who made the All-Stars this year. She's been killing it. Las Vegas Aces general manager Natalie William announced today the team has signed forward Derek Hamby to a contract extension. The two-time sixth player of the year was recently named to her second All-Star team. I'd say our general manager is killing it, because when you look at the team, it's comprised mostly of young talent that can shoot the ball. You got like 4 or 5 veterans that are in their 7th and 8th gear, and the rest of this team is just built with young star talent. So I think the Las Vegas Aces are going to be killing it for years to come. There's no mystery to me as of right now as to why the Raiders owner Mark Davis bought this team. I mean, it's on the up and up, and what a better owner for that too in Vegas, who's killing it. Completely turned the Raiders franchise around. Now the Las Vegas Aces seem to be winning nonstop. This is just great for everybody in the Las Vegas area. Transitioning over to our lovely folks, the Golden Knights. Look, Golden Knights have started their developmental camp. If you guys have not, I'm sure you guys, when you listen to the NHL show, The Neutral Zone here with Adam Karnick, he'll talk to you about the developmental camps. Those are super cool. It's an opportunity for teams to essentially see the young guns and see what their rookies and prospects can do on a competitive basis. Can they develop? Are they ready for the main roster? Do they have to spend more time into the affiliate? I think it's great. The full roster will be unveiled according to, I should give credit, Las Vegas Sun. According to Las Vegas Sun, the full roster will be unveiled following the NHL draft, which begins first round on Thursday. This upcoming, we're killing it. They're on the move. Gotta love it. July 11th, Team Red practice, 2:15. So if you guys get a chance, take a look at the Las Vegas Sun. They actually have the developmental camp practice dates and times up, and that's super cool, because in about 6 days from the hiatus, it says COVID hiatus starting Monday at City National Arena. The team announced Tuesday. You're gonna have an opportunity to see a bunch of the rookies, the young rookies, and former minor pro or current minor pro athletes get after it, so they can see what kind of development is needed. It's a track record. It's great. It's a progress report, and it also gives them an opportunity to assess the talent that they acquired this offseason, the rookie talent for that matter, the NHL draft, and I'm sure undrafted talent, to see what the plan is for them moving forward. Can they become part of the active roster? Are they depth? What's it looking at? So that's a lot of fun. And let's take a look here. Celebrates after scoring a goal. So there's a picture there. Brendan Brisson celebrates scoring a goal for the Henderson Silver Knights against the Stockton Heat. Yep, minor league stuff. Prospects. Gotta love it. Tune in, guys. Take a look at the schedule. It's under the Las Vegas Sun. It was posted today, for that matter. Written by Danny Webster. And it'll give you guys a schedule so you guys can head over there and watch some of those joint scrimmages if you want. That's super dope. If you guys ever had a chance to watch scrimmages in hockey, it's not as good as a live game, of course, but it's fast-paced and it's competitive, man, especially when the team really wants to win. UNLV is killing it, having a good time. They just hired a new golf coach, Jean-Paul Hebert, UNL men's golf coach. Guy's got excellent accolades for that matter. We'll just kind of go over his resume a little bit. I'm happy for UNLV golf because he came from Texas. Texas has been a really good golf program over the years, winning 2 national titles, and this is part of his resume for that matter. 2 national titles, 6 top 5 NCAA finishes, National Assistant Coach of the Year, 5-time Big 12 champs. Okay, so he's been a part of all of that, and now he is the head coach for the University of Las Vegas, Nevada men Rebels golf team. So that's epic. I hope this translate over to UNLV golf because, I mean, in Vegas, man, there's plenty of places to golf all around. I don't know if you folks have been to Vegas. You listeners out there, I would hope you live in Vegas for that matter, you're local people, but get a chance to go around to the golf course, especially in, like, I don't know, early April, late April. Man, those courses are gorgeous before that sun just kind of creeps out and really fries everything. Get a chance to take a look at that. Jean Paul is on the move there. With that being said, UNLV just announced a 3-game mini plan. And I know it's a little bit of advertising for the UNLV football, but we do that because we support our teams, right? IE Sports Radio is all about their squads. 3-game mini plans are for sale. It's on the UNLV Athletics Twitter page. You guys can get more details on that. But 3 home games starting at just $99. So we're talking about $33 a game. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Purchasers also get an exclusive hat, courtesy of the Southern Nevada Toyota dealers. So you're going to get a Rebels hat. I don't know if you guys get a chance. Look at my Twitter page. They just posted some of their new unis that they're going to be rolling with this year. They look pretty dope. They look kind of plain, I would say. A little bit more on the traditional side, but at the same time pretty sleek, pretty flat. I like it. Especially the red with the black pants. You could see one of the Rebels players dancing in his gear, but yeah, red helmet looks super nice. I mean, it looks like a matte. The red helmet just looks super dope. If you guys get a chance, take a look at it. The pants black. You got the all red, silver numbers. I mean, man, those unis look dope. So I hope that turns out to be a bit of a selling point for some of the recruits too, especially with the new football facility. If you guys had a chance last week to listen to the show, you know that I retweeted a YouTube video where UNLV was featured on Royal Key or Kioski, which is basically a group of guys or a business that just rides around the country and checks out facilities. UNLV made that list. A lot of it had to do with the Raiders Stadium. We won't lie. UNLV has a portion of the stadium of their own, their locker room and everything. It was part of that video. They just released, or they just got done with construction on a $38 million football facility at UNLV to add to that video. Super dope. They showed the new equipment locker rooms. They show how UNLV is competing with the recruiting in the Mountain West. Man, I'm telling you guys, this is a program that could very easily start racking, especially in a society of college football where it is all about the fair weather aspects, right? Unless you're Ohio State, Michigan, winning programs like that. Like, let's be honest. A lot of these kids are floating to these nice weather areas where they know that it's going to be super nice all year long. With Las Vegas, the only disadvantage is the dry heat and the 100, getting into the 100 teens plus type of heat. But other than that, you have a controlled climate. You have an indoor facility. You have new state-of-the-art $40 million facilities for Mountain West Conference. That's epic. There's a lot going on at UNLV, especially for football. Golf just announced their new coach. They're on the rise. Baseball and softball within the last few months were just shy of the tournaments, right? But they finished tops of the Mountain West. UNLV's killing it. They had a path in place. The athletic director said we need to get better in all sports. And all I'm seeing right now is evidence that's happening, right? Now all they need is a bowl game for the football team, and I do think that this team's going to start taking strides, especially with some of this conference realignment that's happening. So we're going to go to break real quick. I'm gonna give my IE Sports Radio teammates some love, play some of their drops because you guys got to hear some of their shows, man. They do an excellent job, do a lot of research, they put a lot of time in, and they sound super dope. They're great teammates. They give everybody a shout out. We're always here to support each other. Larry and Taryn are perfect examples of that. But I'm gonna play their drops when we get back. I'm gonna give you guys my 2 cents a little bit on the conference realignment that's happening and what my thoughts are for the NCAA or NCAA football moving forward.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B, and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Shores of the Puget Sound to the rushing waters of the Columbia River, stretching across the Great Cascades, and on IE Sports Radio lives the Northwest Territory Sports Show, hosted by me, Brad Buckingham. On this show, I cover all the great collegiate and professional sport teams that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Sounders, and even the Seattle Kraken. But I can't forget all of that is good in Oregon either. I got the Trailblazers, the Oregon Ducks, the Beavers, even the Timbers, and much, much more. You can listen to the show every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
What up, ladies and sinners? Welcome back. Welcome back from break to another edition of the Tuesday night edition, for that matter. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Kale Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums at SinCity_IESR and at Kale_Henderson, where we are involved at all times. You folks message us, I promise we'll get back to you. That's what we do. UNLV Rebels, Lady Rebel, she knows what I'm talking about. I tweet with her all the time, and we're all about it. Before we get into the conference realignment, I'm going to talk about the people who pay the bills around here. Because why not, right? The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pros players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Social media, Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, Facebook, Southern California Warriors, and then the platform that we all sit on, IE Sports Radio. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, hosted by the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Larry B. The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Gotta love it. Another edition. Man, this song always gets me hyped. Y'all know what I mean. Conference realignment is here, guys. What did we see last year? We saw Texas and Oklahoma. They're skating off to the SEC from the Big 12. And just this last week, within the last week, Pac-12 loses USC and UCLA. Those are blue chip programs, for that matter, that are leaving conferences. And honestly, those conferences were kind of defined by those programs in itself. Say what you want. Maybe Larry will say something different. Maybe Taryn will say something different because they're the California guys, right? They live there. They understand what I'm talking about. Taryn's SoCal is the SoCal man, the master, the myth, the legend in IE Sports Radio. He talks about SoCal, but here's the reality of the situation. Those are huge losses for the conferences. Conferences that were already viewed as down conferences, right? I'll say it like this, and I'm not trying to be mean by any means at all. But was there a Power 5 conference worse than the Pac-12? I'm just being real. I don't know. I would put some of the mid-tier Big 12 teams up against the Pac-12 and feel confident. I would put some of the mid-tier Big 10 teams up against the Pac-12 and feel confident. And I'm talking about now remove USC and UCLA, right? Those are kind of the two major teams as part of that. Oregon really needs to kind of take hold of that. Honestly, Oregon could be on their way out too. I hope the Pac-12 really comes up with an agreement, because it sounds like the Pac-12 is really trying to renegotiate their media deal here in the near future. They want to do it quickly too, so there is not another early exit in the wings. But I think losing UCLA and USC is huge, because those are the blue chip programs of the Pac-12. Like they're that Southern California presence in a huge media market that nobody talks about, right? LA is one of the biggest media markets in all the world, right? There's New York and I think there's LA. Like that's 1 and 2, and they could be close together, right? Terrence says, I agree. The Pac-12 is kind of the black sheep of the Power 5 conferences, especially in terms of football. Absolutely. Yeah, the Pac-12, and I'll say it like this, and you tell me if you disagree with me, Taryn. Tell me if you disagree with me, Larry. I think the Pac-12 really started going downhill when the playoff happened. We talked about this a couple weeks ago here on the Sin City Sports Show. I said, man, say what you want about Nick Saban, but he's been warning us about all of these flags for the last few years. Like, he wasn't worried about Alabama. He knew Alabama would be fine. He's at Alabama. Like that's the blue chip program in all of college football, if we're being honest. They have the most national championships. I mean, for God's sakes, listen, Alabama was going to be fine. Nick Saban was going to be fine. The hurry up offense, the spread, the playoff, all that. They were going to be fine. But he was talking about the overall health of college football. And I personally believe that when the playoffs started is when the health of college football started to go downhill. You saw players, they were no longer wanting to compete in the big games or bowl games. Now, you can't say big games, but they earn their respective universities money, athletic departments, I should say, money. But if we're being real, if it wasn't meant to be a championship, then these players just aren't involved anymore. And I don't blame them. They're looking at their investment decision. But when that playoff took place, the Pac-12 really started to hurt, because they really only had one really good team at the time, and that was Oregon. I guess Washington was really good at the time too. But even so, Washington, they played a PUD schedule against other Pac-12 teams. Oregon State is horrible. I have to say it, man. Oregon State is awful. Arizona is awful. Arizona State kind of hangs in there, right, because of what, their head coach brings to the table. But other than that, like, the rest of the teams in the Pac-12 are garbage. You had USC and Oregon. Washington has gone downhill ever since they lost their head coach. Chris Peterson, I believe it is. Ever since they lost Peterson, I feel like Washington's been on a downhill slope, right? They're trying to get back to where they were, but it is what it is, guys. It's kind of how perception's reality, right? Washington is maybe a B-tier team in the Pac-12. You have Oregon and USC; those were the A tiers, and even USC has really struggled. I don't think they'll struggle anymore. The hiring of Lincoln Riley was unbelievable. Honestly. The hiring of Lincoln Riley was unbelievable. USC made the right move. And what's scary is I think USC's had this plan. I think they knew new money was coming in. Unlike Nebraska, right? I live in Nebraska, so I kind of understand where that comes from. Nebraska had to wait a few years to get the full revenue share from the Big Ten when they made the move from the Big 12. USC doesn't have to do that. They don't have to bargain that way. USC is going to get the full amount of the actual split of the pie from day one because they are a major sports market. LA, again, New York 1A, LA 1B. And it could be vice versa. And the Big Ten just nabbed that market. So if we're being real in college football, the Big Ten has 5 of the 7 major markets in college football at their disposal, with TV rights coming up, with negotiations coming up. The Big Ten's about to have the richest contract in all of sports. Maybe not bigger than the NFL, but it is what it is. That's the reality, guys. So I'll say it like this. When we were on break, Larry said SDSU, so San Diego State University, who has been a very good football program for years, very consistent, and UNLV to the Pac-12. Okay, I'll say it like this. San Diego State, they could compete. UNLV, not yet. UNLV makes more sense, though, because of the market, for one. The Raiders moving to that market made it huge. The new stadium makes it huge for recruiting. So that makes sense. Also, the Pac-12 championship is going to be held at Allegiant Stadium on a year-to-year basis. So there's ties for UNLV to be in the Pac-12. I just don't agree with those two. If I'm the Pac-12, I'm hunting. I'm hunting Boise State. I'm hunting Fresno State. I'm trying to get Utah State to leave their independent deal, or not independent. I apologize. I think they're Mountain West. I'm trying to get Utah State in the Pac-12 before I worry about SDSU and UNLV. And that's just my opinion. I just don't think those teams carry enough weight to really change the outlook of the Pac-12. And if you're Oregon, you have Phil Knight, you have Nike, you have the recruiting prowess that you have, a new coaching staff. I think now is the time for Oregon to jump ship unless they're kind of showed some revenue split that really makes them the top of all the Pac-12. Because there's really no reason for Oregon to stay at this point, if we're being honest. Oregon's going to be a laughingstock. They're still going to be a power team. They're still going to be epic. They're still going to have the best jerseys, maybe the fastest team in college football. But their schedule is going to be put on a year-to-year basis, and they're going to get no respect. Unless they continue to book games like the Ohio State game last year, where they just ran train on Ohio State. They bullied them, right? Unless Oregon continues to schedule games like that, they're not going to be taken seriously by the college football committee, the playoff committee. And that's part of what I'm saying. It all goes back to the playoffs. Everything kind of went downhill. Washington, they're kind of making strides. Okay? I'm a firm believer that the Big 12 conference is better than the Pac-12 right now. Okay? I would put Baylor up against any Pac-12 team right now. I think Oregon would edge it out, but I still think Baylor's a really good football program. And they would beat everybody else in that conference, minus USC. USC's on the rise. Terrence said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, man. It is what it is. I trust K-State over your mid-tier teams. Facts. I trust K-State over Washington. Literally, Oregon is the only good team in the Pac-12 now. That's it. USC was still hot garbage. That's why they had to find a new coach. They're going to be better. Lincoln Riley is going to make them elite again. I'm serious, top 5 within the next few years. They will be nightmares for college football. But that doesn't matter because in the next 5 years, they'll be in the Big Ten. And they'll be earning the Big Ten revenue. So I'm just being real, man. It's nothing against the Pac-12. It's nothing against SoCal. I know you love SoCal. I'm just being real with you. The Big 12 has better teams than the Pac-12 does. Pac-12 has one team now. That's Oregon, period. Everyone else, I would put Baylor. I'd put, I believe in Kansas State. They could do it. I leave Texas and Oklahoma out of it, of course. Oklahoma State, there's another one we don't talk about. Oklahoma State and Baylor are 1A, 1B in the Big 12 now, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving it. They're not leaving yet, but you guys get what I'm saying. Okay? If I'm one of those teams at UNLV and all that, I'm trying to go to the Big 12 over going to the Pac-12. I just don't see it, man. I don't see what other people see in the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 is hot garbage. If it wasn't hot garbage, then USC and UCLA would be staying. Terrence said, I was making fun of Ohio State when they lost to Oregon because Ohio State's fans say O-H-I-O. Yeah, Dude, that game, I loved watching that game. Like, legitimately, Oregon just bullied Ohio State that game. It didn't do well for them the rest of the season because I think they ended up dropping 1 or 2 games, which is pathetic. You beat a really, really good Ohio State team and then you lose. That's the problem with Pac-12 teams, man. They sleep on their own schedules, dude. Like, I get it. That's just an opinion. But just look at the history. Even Washington that year that they made it to the college football playoff, I think they were 11-1. And then they got deboed by, it was either Georgia or Alabama. They just got destroyed. Like, it wasn't even close. And Chris Peterson had Washington going at that time, too. Like, epic defense, serviceable offense. I mean, they were good. I don't know, man. Dan Lanning is really going to have to, like, change the program around. Really, I don't know. The Pac-12 is in trouble. So I agree with you guys. I see why you're reaching for those teams. I don't blame you at all. But if I were those teams, UNLV, if I were UNLV, I'd be looking to try and go to the Big 12 over the Pac-12 right now. The revenue split's going to be bigger once that contract's done. Oklahoma State needs help. Oklahoma State and Baylor are going to need help carrying that conference because Kansas is god-awful. Texas Tech, I believe, is a bit on the rise. They're looking better year after year. Other than that, man, that's a tough conference. That's a tough conference to like, too. Like, again, you have 1 or 2 teams in each one of those conferences. Now Pac-12 just has Oregon, and then everything else. If I'm the Big 12, I'm gunning for Boise State, too. Like, I'm trying to get a hold of those teams that are like, that should be in bigger conferences but aren't. But if you're Pac-12, Utah State, Boise State, Fresno State are my first calls. And I do agree with the San Diego State. I think they could compete. They build their program, and especially in the Southern California area. It makes sense. UNLV should probably be considered for Pac-12 because of their ties with the Pac-12 championship game. But I think UNLV, Boise State, they'd be better served to go to the Big 12. Terrence says the Pac-12 is dead, and I feel Larry Scott is the one that put him on that grave. Yes and no. I don't know, man. Like, I just think the Pac-12 should have done a better job of marketing their product and bringing those bigger coaches in. You know, I think USC kind of did the whole. I loved the hire by USC. I thought they were lights out. But conference realignment, dude, this is bad. The ACC is terrible too. I think the ACC is still better than, Pac-12. Big 12 might be better than the ACC now too. The Clemson had a down year. They'll be better next year. Miami's going to make the comeback. I do believe that. Mario Cristobal is going to get that going. I don't know about Florida State. College football was always better when those blue chip programs were killing it. Florida State, Miami, Clemson. Let me see here. Big 12, it was Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State. Let's see here. What's another one? I mean, Ohio State and Michigan, those are obvious ones. Penn State, Wisconsin. I don't know, man. The Big Ten is just a gauntlet. The SEC is just a gauntlet. And I'll close this segment by saying this. I believe that we will have 2 super conferences within the next 10 years. It'll be an NFL template or format in college football. There's no way around it. And if you're not in that, you're in a minor league system. That is the development program. And honestly, if we're being real, like, there's 2 really good conferences. The rest of them just kind of, make it in and hope to win. Clemson was a powerhouse for a few years. I don't know how they did that. Great recruiting, excellent job by Dabo. But the reality is the ACC had one good team at that point. The rest of the conferences were all second fiddle to Ohio State in the Big Ten and Alabama, LSU, and the SEC. So I think we'll have 2 super conferences soon. It's just going to be Big Ten, SEC, and we're going to have an NFL playoff format for that matter within the next 10 years. And the revenue split is like that. If you're NCAA and you're college football, why aren't you looking at the NFL and saying, hey, why not? Why not? I don't blame them at all. I would go that route too, because that's where the money is. Doesn't mean it's better for the health of college football. Doesn't mean that at all. But I believe that the conference realignment is going to get to that point, unfortunately. Transitioning to the Raiders, guys, we've got to stay in Las Vegas. I love my Raiders, but I'm going to be real with y'all. Marquette King is a clown. At this point, he's now just insinuating discrimination. I am never going to turn my head to somebody who says they feel like they're being discriminated against. I feel like they should be heard. Marquette King is the former punter for the Raiders. He's 33 years old. He was one of the better punters in the NFL in his stint under Jack Del Rio and the Raiders. Marquette King's issue was off-field issues or post-play issues because the dude would be dancing and causing penalties. Like, nobody gives a crap about your personality, dude. You're a punter. All right, that's the reality of the situation. Punters aren't people too. Kickers aren't people too. I'm going to firmly say it. I don't believe punters and kickers are people too. Because when you need them most, they just need to do their job or get the hell out. Find another one. All right? Marquette King is one of those guys that right now he's just crying wolf. He's created this situation for himself. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt with the racism aspects that are going on in the NFL because it has been bad over the recent years. We've seen a ton of discrimination. We saw Colin Kaepernick get blackballed, but this isn't the same thing. Colin Kaepernick was playing a premium position when he was let go. And he was winning games for the 49ers. Right? Marquette King was doing a really good job reversing field position and all that stuff, but his issue was he'd celebrate too damn much and cause 15-yard penalties. His off-field antics were crap. He had an attitude. He knows it. He admits it. And that's what's kind of hurt him. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants the punter to be the biggest personality on the team. That's a joke. So Marquette King starting a little bit of drama, stating that he insinuates discrimination, believes his NFL career is over because of discrimination. When in turn it's because of his horrible attitude and those 15-yard penalties and his. I think he was involved in the fight. You guys remember the little bit of a fight that happened with Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree? Marquette King was involved with that too. Dude ran over the punter. Ran over there. Yes, he was trying to stand up for his teammate, but it is what it is, man. You're a punter. Just punt the ball and shut up. Period. I have a hard time feeling bad for Marquette King. You look at his social media and stuff, he's just crying wolf, you know? I want to believe him. I want to believe anybody that claims discrimination's happening, but Marquette's just kind of put himself in a position where it's not very believable. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Devontae Adams, we had CBS Fantasy coming out. Chris Towers, he said, does Devontae Adams have the Raiders ready to make a leap? Yes. Yes, I don't think it's just Devontae Adams, though. I think Josh McDaniels is heavily involved in that as well. I think Josh McDaniels is going to be the piece of the puzzle that really matters for the Raiders. I think I tweeted just not too long ago, for that matter. What Josh McDaniels is going to bring to the team is I think he's going to bring a solid base. He's going to bring a foundation that matters for football, and that's proper statistics. Nobody cares about passing yards, touchdowns, if it doesn't mean wins, right? Right? Are we all on the same page there? So at the end of the day, when I'm talking about some of the statistics that matter, like when we're talking about team stats, we've talked about this from the very beginning of the show. If the Raiders want to be a legitimate playoff contender, if they want to win a few playoff games, they have to be top 5 in red zone efficiency, offensively and defensively. Conveniently, the Raiders were last or close to last in both of those categories the last 4 years under John Gruden. Before that, probably middle of the pack, right? Under Jack Del Rio and Bill Musgrave. But going from middle of the pack to near last is horrible. You had a team that was winning games and then at stretches would get shut down because they couldn't score. Teams knew, hey, we'll just let them drive the ball. What they can't do is put the ball in the end zone. That's essentially what happened. What Josh McDaniels has been great at for the last 15 years is red zone efficiency. The Patriots have been top 10 every single year. I'll even say top 5. 7 of the last 15, actually 7 of the last 10 years, the New England Patriots were top 5 in red zone offense and red zone defense. Okay? Some of that has to do with Bill, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that Patrick Graham is going to do a bad job for the Raiders. They have athletes. They have a lot of young value in place. Speed. I think the Raiders are going to have a nice mix on this team. The other thing the Raiders need to do a better job of turnover and turnover margins. Okay, so defense needs to force turnover so you can give the offense the ball more, right? That's just kind of how that works. That's the easiest way to win games, football games, if your defense comes to play and they cause turnovers. One thing that the Raiders could really do a better job of is the turnover margin. When your defense forces turnovers, offense needs to make sure they take care of the football. no fumbles, no interceptions, things like that really have really plagued the Raiders over the last few years. And that's discipline issues. That's something that John Gruden allowed to just get players to get away with. He said, I figured, it'll kind of take care of itself. In some cases, John Gruden was the player's coach. I by no means think that Josh McDaniels is a player coach. I think that he is a guy that's on his way to being a player's coach, but he'll always be a disciplinarian because of his background with Bill Belichick. The fumbles, the drop passes, the interceptions, that won't be tolerated by Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler. They'll find new people. They'll bring in new people immediately. Whereas John Gruden had favorites, and John Gruden would do a great job of utilizing talent at times, he also did a horrible job of disciplining players because they honestly thought they could do whatever they wanted on a case-to-case basis. Trent Brown is a perfect example. Trent Brown was trouble, man. For the first year, he was great. Everybody loved him. He played half the games. He kind of just did whatever he wanted. Antonio Brown is a perfect example, too. The Raiders just did not have discipline over the last 4 years, and it showed. Look at the Henry Ruggs situation, that tragedy. You think if the Raiders, if you think these players, if they feared their front office, if they feared their coaching staff, they'd be going out driving drunk, running and driving 100+ miles an hour down a busy street in Las Vegas? No, not at all. You don't do that. You don't see that stuff in New England. That never happens. And that's what Josh McDaniels is going to bring. He's going to bring that attitude, disciplinary attitude, do your job. If you do your job, you win games. So I think Josh McDaniels and Davante Adams both bring that key element. What Davante Adams really brings is that leadership, that veteran presence. You're hearing it already from the Chandler Joneses, the Max Crosbys, the Derek Carrs. They know how hard Davante Adams works, and they see it. He's one of the better players in the NFL because he works to be one of the better players in the NFL. He's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, but he's one of the best route runners and best double move guys because he's worked on his craft. You can't just guard him one-on-one. You need to double the dude. He's going to need a safety over the top of him at all times, and it's going to do nothing but benefit the rest of the Raiders. And the rest of the Raiders are going to do nothing but benefit watching his work ethic and trying to match it on a day-to-day basis. I think Hunter Renfrow has a hell of a year. Like last year he had his career highs in yards and touchdowns. He may not have that this year, but watch his yards per catch go up. Seriously, watch his reception yards go up because of the attention that Davante Adams gets. Watch Darren Waller go double-digit touchdowns and 1,400 yards this year because of the attention Davante Adams brings. Davante Adams just has to get to double digits and maybe 1,000 yards, and it's going to be very effective for the Raiders, especially in the AFC West, which is packed, full of defensive talent. Yes, Davante Adams and Josh McDaniels have the Raiders ready for a leap. I truly believe that. You have to see it on the field, but they're heading in the right direction. You can tell. Those stats matter. I'm telling you guys, listen to those stats. They're what matters for the next, till the end of the year. If the Raiders are top 5, and I promise you, if the Raiders are top 5 in red zone offensive and defense efficiency, and they're top 5 in turnovers caused and the turnover margin, the Raiders will be a deep playoff team. They will go deep in the playoffs. I promise you that. Just keep an eye on those stats because that's what matters in football. That's team stuff. Field position's awesome. Starting field position be great. Scoring percentage. But yes, keep an eye on those stats. Refer back to this episode on the 5th of July. As long as the Raiders meet those statistics, they will be a deep playoff team and a contender for the championship. Taryn says, admiringly, I feel the Raiders have a top 5 wide receiver duo. Absolutely. Hunter Renfrow and Davante Adams alone are enough to really scare defenses, right? I'm not including Darren Waller because he's a tight end, but he is a receiving threat, right? Then you have Demarcus Robinson from the Chiefs. He came over. He's got experience. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's played in multiple Super Bowl games, playoff games that matter. I think that's an excellent add. Matt Hillis, he came over from the Miami Dolphins, big body receiver, route runner, excellent player. I still think the Raiders can still add a guy. It wouldn't surprise me if Nelson Aguilar's that dude, especially if New England lets him go on the cheap or cuts him. It's possible, guys. A lot of things happen at the start of training camp. If Nelson Aguilar's available, I guarantee you he'll try to get to the Raiders. He wants to play with Derek Carr. If you put Nelson Aguilar on the other side of Davante Adams with Hunter Renfrow in the slot and Darren Waller at tight end, dude, you're not stopping this passing offense. It's not happening. The Raiders will be their own Achilles heel. Taron Rodriguez, once again, the only thing that can stop the Raiders is Adam Rank reverse jinx. He has the Raiders going 12-5, tying atop the AFC West. Adam Rank scares me because half the things he says is nonsense. I'll say it. I don't mind saying it. Half the things he says is nonsense. I kind of agree with his record, but the games that he had were weird, man. I don't know if you ever had a chance to look at his YouTube video where he was talking about the games that every team would win in the division and not win. They all matched each other, and they were all, coordinated and in sync, but, man, some of the losses didn't make any damn sense at all. And I think the Chiefs are getting slept on still. I do. I don't know why. They should still deserve everybody's respect, but I think the Chiefs are still getting slept on. Raider Ramble, got to give a shout out to him. Carlos Sanchez, he's been killing it over there at Raider Ramble. Raiders might have no choice but to go with start or to start Dylan Parham. We'll see what happens. Denzel Good is a player that could be coming back and coming back healthy. There's no rush. You shouldn't have to rush starting Dylan Parham. Is he an excellent guard? Yes. Is he a better center? I believe so. I think he's the center of the future. I think Andre James is on borrowed time. There's a possibility this could be Andre James' last year and Dylan Parham's the starting center next year, which means you just got to go out and find another guard, which I think the Raiders will address the fronts quite a bit next year's draft, especially after this season. You got a lot of one-year guys on the defensive line. You drafted a couple defensive linemen. I think they're going to continue to pile on the fronts because that's something New England did for years. Corners, big guys up front, and that's kind of the recipe. And then they filled everything else out in the free agency. The one thing I will see, I think Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels do a better job of is drafting wide receiver talent. But in their mind, I do believe that if they can go after a proven one over, a lottery, and that's what I call draft picks coming out of the draft sometimes. They're a lottery ticket. You never know if they're going to win. You have better odds of them doing better than the lottery, but you get what I'm saying. Taron Rodriguez, the Raiders shouldn't have to let go of Aguilar to begin with. He had the best season with them. I think Total Pro Sports said for the Raiders to start Dylan Parham. Yep, Total Pro Sports. I also see the Raider Ramble. They have it here. I don't mind the idea of starting him. What I'm saying is you don't have to rush it, right? You have an experienced John Simpson. You have an experienced Denzel Good who's coming back from injury, and he was playing really well before he tore his ACL in that first game. Like, he was having a stellar game before that happened. You don't have to rush. There's options everywhere. So there's a possibility on that aspect. I do believe Alex Leatherwood will be the starting right tackle beginning of the season. I firmly believe that. I think this Raiders regime really wants him to succeed. I think if he would have been available in the later part of the rounds, he would have been a Patriot to begin with in that 2021 draft. That's just my opinion. He just reeks Patriot, especially for that run game. He's a former Bama player, coached by Nick Saban. He just reeks Bill Belichick and the Patriots. But I agree, Taron. There's a possibility Dylan Parham does play from day one. And that's fine. It'll give him reps in the NFL. They just don't have to do it. I think Andre James, John Simpson, Denzel Good, Alex Leatherwood, they could go with the same starting unit from game one they did last year and see how it goes and see what happens. Because this new scheme change to more of a power gap scheme where you are running downhill, pulling guys, being efficient with the run game, setting up play action, I think it's going to help out this offensive line way more than what Gruden, that zone scheme, did a lot of. And I think Josh McDaniels is very good at evaluating what what defenses' weaknesses are and using it against him. And in the run game, he's been very good for years. With that, guys, we're basically got to close the show. I'm going to touch on one more thing real quick here. Overall, the Raiders have had an excellent offseason. The drama could kind of dwindle down a little bit. It's not that bad when it's just Marquette King flapping his gums. But if we're being honest, man, I think the Raiders have done a great job. They've done a great job with value. Vegas sports and in general is just on the rise. I think we should be excited. Larry, I'm with you, man. I think I do like the idea of UNLV going to the Pac-12 because of the Pac-12 title being played at Allegiant Stadium on a year-to-year basis. But I just don't know if UNLV is ready for that stage yet. Boise State and Fresno makes sense. The conference realignment's nutty. We talked about that tonight. Las Vegas Aces are still killing it. second in the league overall, first in the West. They're going to be, the number 1 seed in the West, no problem at all. As long as they continue doing what they're doing, they'll be fine. Golden Knights development camp. There's just a lot. There isn't a lot going on in Vegas, but it feels like there's a lot going on. It feels like there's a lot of positive things happening in Vegas on the sports scene, and you got to love it, man. You got to love it because it feels good. The Raiders are the leaders of that movement, by the way. No one can deny that. The Raiders are killing it. People are excited. PSLs are at an all-time high. You basically got to try and find tickets on StubHub and stuff at a cheaper rate. It's just not happening. They're full, man. They're going to be packed this year, and you got to love it. With that said, folks, I'm going to close out the night. You can catch us every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Spreaker.com, or you can click on the links on our Twitter pages. Taryn Rodriguez says the Las Vegas Ramblers are killing it too. He's right. Volleyball's killing it. Volleyball's killing it in Vegas as well. Vegas is going ham, man. They're growing quick. But you guys can catch us every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Spreaker.com, Spreaker Radio. Catch us on our Twitter waves. SinCity_IESR, at Kale_Henderson. We're always willing to interact with our fans, interact with our listeners, whether you like us or not. And most importantly, take care of yourselves, okay? Health is wealth, right? Love, peace, and hair grease. That's what we do. Thank you again for tuning to another edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you next week.